See you then.
On World News Tonight, this Thursday, crisis in the Kremlin. Is Boris Yeltsin preparing to resign? Worry on Wall Street since the Dow Jones average plummeting more than 350 points. Bonnie refuses to leave North Carolina. More than a foot of rain already, and more to come. And with 2 suspects in American custody for the embassy bombings, did the U.S. strike back at the wrong target? We'll take a closer look.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Sitting in tonight, Forrest Sawyer.
Good evening. There was painful proof of the interlocking global economy today. Already worried about the deepening Asian crisis and troubles in Latin America, Wall Street was hit with reports that Russian President Boris Yeltsin was preparing to resign. It was all enough to send the stock market reeling. After the opening bell, a sharp drop, then wild 100-point swings. And when the final bell sounded, the Dow Jones average was down 357.36, the biggest sell-off of the year. And the growing economic crisis in Russia may spell more trouble ahead. So we begin in Moscow with ABC's Hillary Brown.
Boris Yeltsin was nowhere to be seen, but in Russia's parliament tonight, the man he just nominated as prime minister, Viktor Chernomyrdin, was discussing a plan for Yeltsin's resignation. Kremlin sources close to Yeltsin describe the scenario as follows. Viktor Chernomyrdin must first be confirmed as prime minister by the parliament. Yeltsin could then transfer power to him for 90 days until elections can be held. In return, a law must be passed giving Yeltsin immunity from any prosecution. He's believed to be worried that he might be investigated for decisions he made during the war in Chechnya. That process could take weeks. What is not clear is to what extent Yeltsin has consented to any of this. Officially, the Kremlin insists that resignation is out of the question, but few people believe he'll be in power for much longer.
Yeltsin's era is over. How it will happen and how much time it will take, it's another story.
In the meantime, the economy is getting even worse, with the ruble in a free fall. Muscovites lined up outside banks from 5 o'clock this morning, trying to withdraw their money, desperately worried that they may lose their life savings. This small businessman couldn't get rubles or dollars. I've already lost 40% of my money, he says. If I lose my savings, this pensioner says, you can put me in my grave in a plastic bag. I'll have no money for a coffin. Any new government here will be faced with public anger that all the hardship of the past 6 years of economic reform was for nothing. And they're waiting to see whether Yeltsin shows up for a scheduled meeting with the president of Bulgaria tomorrow. Hillary Brown, ABC News, Moscow.
And in the face of all that, in less than a week, President Clinton is scheduled to travel to Moscow. So one obvious question, will the turmoil there affect the president's plans? ABC's John Cochran is at the White House. John, what is the administration's response?
Forrest, they've heard here at the White House all the reports that Yeltsin is about to step down. They say they have no confirmation. And they're going full steam ahead with preparations for the president's visit to Moscow next week. But they admit this is a dangerous time, not just because of the failing Russian economy, but because after the dust settles, no one knows how much influence the old-line communists will have, Forrest.
John, you know that U.S. foreign policy has long been tagged to Boris Yeltsin, so is the White House supporting him now?
There's not much they can do. There's no money to offer him. Congress feels it's given quite enough in loans already through the International Monetary Fund. So Mr. Clinton really will have very little influence when he goes to Moscow, Forrest.
John Cochran at the White House. Thank you, John. Now on to that other big story. Wall Street investors have been watching the events in Russia very closely to see how deep the problems may run. And Russia is just the latest worry. Here's ABC's Aaron Brown.
Russia was the trigger that sent Wall Street falling from the opening bell.
We had panic on Wall Street today. The excuse was what's going on in Russia. The reality is that we've been in a correction for 6 weeks now, and folks were very nervous. And it really, I would say we would have been down today with good news, bad news, or no news.
American companies aren't heavily invested in Russia, but ones that are got hurt. Republic Bank, the nation's 21st largest, said today its entire third quarter profits had been wiped out by its Russian investments, now worth just 15 cents on the dollar. But if it was just Russia or just Hong Kong or even just Japan, it would be but a body blow to Wall Street. But it's all of them, all at once.
many moving pieces right now, many unanswered questions, and until those questions show some level of certainty or strength, the market continues to be very anxious.
That anxiety caused today's across-the-board losses and has caused the Dow to drop 12% since its high last month. The Dow is simply catching up with the rest of the world, which has been struggling for a year. In Japan, the market is down almost 17% in the last year. In Germany, down 18%. France, almost 15%. And those numbers look great compared to the smaller emerging markets. Thailand down nearly 60%. Malaysia down 59%. And it's not just Asia either. Brazil down more than 50%. Venezuela off more than 70%. Wall Street has avoided those kinds of losses because of the strongest domestic economy in a generation. But the U.S. economy alone is not enough, not anymore. That's what had Wall Street worried today, its worst day of the year. Aaron Brown, ABC News, New York.
In just a moment, the day's other news, the wrath of Bonnie. How have some communities stood up against the powerful wind and rain? And new information about the embassy bombings, a suspect brought to the U.S. with details of how it happened.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by the makers of Pledge.
How come you do me like you do? How come you do?
Even if you can't always treat your wood furniture with kid gloves, always treat it to Pledge. Because Pledge does what's right for your wood. Its condition is cared for and protected far longer than dusting sprays. So treat your furniture like you do. And where life goes on, let Pledge go on. S.C. Johnson Wax.
When it comes to your health, never compromise, even when choosing a laxative. You need one that's strong enough to work overnight, but also gentle. Try doctor-recommended Dulcolax. Its comfort coating even protects your stomach. Get strong, get gentle, get doctor-recommended Dulcolax.
Sun is rising. Shine, shine. Looks like a great day.
It's a great day for the comfort and convenience of changing tint Transitions lenses. Indoors, they lighten. Outdoors, they darken. So lightweight plastic Transitions lenses are right in any light. Make the change to Transitions lenses and see for yourself.
It's a great day.
Transitions lenses, right in any light and right for you.
Weather news tonight. Hurricane Bonnie has been churning away over North Carolina for more than 24 hours. Bonnie is weaker, now downgraded to a tropical storm, but it's still doing a lot of damage. With more than 12 inches of rain in coastal areas so far, flooding is a big problem, and more to come. Forecasters say the storm will remain over North Carolina until early tomorrow. ABC's Steve Osunsami is in Morehead City on the North Carolina coast.
With more than 50,000 people out of power in this area, utility crews are a sign of relief. Since the storm came ashore yesterday afternoon, Morehead City and its barrier island have been pounded by winds up to 92 miles an hour. Their beaches have lost ground to waves 9 feet high. And many of their streets, homes, and boats are either flooded or ruined.
We have one boat over, but maybe there won't be any more.
The worst of the storm came early this morning, and all day long, wind gusts were still so strong they continued to toss large chunks of metal across town. Unlike storms before her, Hurricane Bonnie refuses to leave quickly.
Debris comes in from the sound and up along the beaches, and it can, if we get a big piling, it can tear our dock completely up.
The next signs of life will come tonight and tomorrow as the wind and rain continue to die down. Only then can people here start to clear away the damage and begin the exhausting process of rebuilding their lives. Forrest?
Thanks very much, Steve Osunsami in Morehead City. Rebuilding, of course, is not going to be easy. So how are people coping with Bonnie, even as its effects are still being felt? We have reporters up and down the North Carolina coast, and we begin with ABC's Rebecca Chase, who is in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina.
After bracing for the worst, Bonnie's bite wasn't so bad after all. There was some flooding, a few roofs off, several boats tossed around, and roads covered with sand. But today, the tension is gone.
Relieved. Pretty relaxed right now, actually. I'm glad it's over with.
On Wrightsville Beach, good preparations and key investments paid off. $1.5 million were recently spent here to rebuild the beaches, and today officials said that helped minimize the damage of this storm. The big new beach provided a buffer against the waves.
There's no doubt that this renourishment made a difference at this storm.
In nearby Wilmington, streets are already being cleared, and utility lines are under repair. Late today, residents were allowed to return to Wrightsville Beach, as life here is quickly returning to normal.
This is Ron Claiborne in Washington, North Carolina, where this afternoon a group of neighbors went to see what Bonnie had done to their homes. For these two friends, the news was not good. Their homes, both badly damaged by Hurricane Fran 2 years ago, were flooded again.
Well, it's pretty much the same thing, though. It's the same thing.
Annie Waters, whose home was badly damaged by the storm 2 years ago, couldn't get to her house today. She could only wonder. Then a neighbor volunteered to try. The neighbor waded into the floodwaters to check on her home while she waited. Finally, the neighbor returned.
Your floor is all wet, but there's no water standing.
Oh,
you better be glad the wind changed when it did.
I thank God for this.
This time, her home had survived. This time, she had been lucky.
I'm Bill Redeker in Nags Head, where high surf and flooding threatened the Outer Banks today. Roads became impassable, structural damage was widespread, power lines shorted out and set poles on fire.
Do these storms scare you at all?
Oh, yeah. Every time.
Despite that, Lovey McCann and her husband Andy were back at work cleaning up their restaurant, convinced Bonnie was out of steam. The McCanns have weathered 6 hurricanes since they opened 13 years ago. But business is business.
We've got basically from Memorial Day to Labor Day to make a living.
That's it.
And that's about it right now.
The pier that supports the restaurant has been rebuilt 3 times, but that won't be necessary this time, which means that tomorrow morning, this landmark restaurant will be open for breakfast.
And reporting, Bill Redeker, Ron Claiborne, and Rebecca Chase in North Carolina. And now here comes the next one. The next hurricane on the heels of Bonnie is Danielle. Tonight, the storm is about 300 miles northeast of the island of St. Martin. Forecasters say it's too early to tell if Danielle will hit the United States. In just a moment, the embassy bombings and the U.S. response. Was one of the targets a mistake? We'll take a closer look.
For the 14 million women who worry about light to moderate bladder control, now there's new Double Protection Compose Panty and Pad system. The Compose Panty and Pad fit together for double protection. There's a super absorbent disposable pad, but the real difference is the separate washable panty. It gives you double protection with a quilted panel that won't let wetness through. So why worry? Get double protection with Double Protection Compose. Protection that goes beyond the pad.
I am an ice cream snob.
Right away, I thought healthy choice.
But I was shocked. Chunks of brownies, caramel, cappuccino, chocolate chunk. Only 2 grams of fat.
With Healthy Choice, I've got a green light to eat what I like.
Yeah.
Mambo into Red Lobster. And try our 30 shrimp dinner. We pile on 30 shrimp for just $9.99. That's a lot of shrimp. So hurry in for your 30 shrimp dinner at Red Lobster.
Let me help you. I'll do it. I can do it.
Arthritis has claimed these hands. But take comfort. In the medicine arthritis experts recommend first Tylenol. Tylenol is simply the most trusted combination of strength and safety in arthritis pain relief today. Tylenol. Take comfort in our strength.
Early light breaks through. Music and dance calling you. Just need that mountain grown lift before you share your gift. Now there's rhythm and sound making their hearts pound. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Tonight, nearly 3 weeks after the bombings at U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, we're going to take a closer look at the effectiveness of the U.S. response in court and on the battlefield. The legal investigation in Nairobi and New York took a big step forward today. 2 key suspects have been extradited from Kenya, and this afternoon, one was brought before a federal judge in Manhattan. Here's ABC's John Miller.
Police, U.S. Marshals, and bomb-sniffing dogs ringed New York's federal courthouse. Inside, the suspect who used the name Khalid Salem stood before a federal magistrate, charged with 12 counts of murder, one for each American killed in the bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi. The FBI says the suspect confessed to them it was planned as a suicide bombing.
The defendant stated that the operation was supposed to be a martyrdom operation, which he did not expect to survive.
Salem did survive, and while he was in the hospital, Kenyan police and the FBI began to focus on him. When one of the embassy guards identified Salem as the man who had thrown a stun grenade at him from the truck containing the bomb, Salem was arrested. According to the FBI, Salem told them planning for the embassy bombings began in March. Salem said he and others were trained in the camps run by exiled Saudi millionaire Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan. Another suspect, Mohammed Sadiq O'Day, has also been sent to the U.S. to face charges in the bombing case. 2 months before the embassies were bombed, bin Laden was charged in a secret indictment in New York as a terrorist for allegedly soliciting the murders of Americans. Justice Department sources say a new, more sweeping indictment naming bin Laden in the East African bombings is in the works. But as they've already learned, charging bin Laden and bringing him to trial here in the United States are two different things. John Miller, ABC News, New York.
Even as the legal case moves forward, there are more questions about last week's U.S. military strikes against suspected terrorist targets, particularly in Sudan, where a pharmaceutical plant allegedly involved in making deadly nerve gas was destroyed. The Sudanese say the claims are false, and the U.S. version is changing. Here's ABC's John McWethy.
Administration officials insist they hit the right target in Sudan for the right reasons, but an intense internal review of all the evidence is now underway, suggesting doubts about what the U.S. has done.
Unfortunately, this doesn't look like it will turn out to be as clear-cut as either the U.S. government, the Sudanese government, the media, or the general public would like it to be.
For the last week, administration officials have been backing off parts of their story.
We do know that this facility was used for the production of precursor chemicals that could be used for VX, producing VX.
Now officials say they do not know if the chemicals were actually produced in the plant or just stored there. A week ago, a senior intelligence official told reporters, quote, "We have seen no commercial products that are sold out of this facility," indicating it was just a front to make chemical weapons. Now officials acknowledge the plant produced about 60% of the medicine consumed in Sudan, a poor nation ravaged by war and famine. There is also the issue of Osama bin Laden's financial ties.
And we do know that he has had some financial interests in contributing to this particular facility.
Today, U.S. officials seem a lot less certain about the money trail.
We know that he has a connection with the Sudanese military-industrial complex of which this facility was a part.
Just days ago, the administration said it had evidence from a soil sample that could only have come from chemicals used to make poison gas. Now there are questions about whether that is true. Administration officials insist they still have more than enough evidence to justify destroying the pharmaceutical plant, even though that evidence now appears to be developing some holes. John McWethy, ABC News, the Pentagon.
And the questions go on. In just a moment, Democrats make sure the president has a welcome audience on a side trip from vacation.
In hospitals, speed counts. So when patients get heartburn, they get 1 minute Maalox.
It goes to work on stomach acid in 1 minute. Pepcid AC could take over 45 minutes to affect acid.
Hospitals trust Maalox. Shouldn't you?
Count on 1 minute Maalox.
So this is it, huh? You're off to college.
Yeah.
Pretty high-tech stuff you got here.
Yeah, but the guy at Staples explained everything on the body.
Good. Well, good luck.
Isn't Mom gonna say goodbye?
She's still up in your room getting used to the idea.
Well, I love you, Dad.
He's gone. What do you think?
Only 9.5 feet. We're gonna need 10 for the hot tub.
Well, this wall's gonna have to come down.
Staples has compact computers and 7,000 supplies at a guaranteed low price. Staples, yeah, we've got that.
Now's the time to discover the great selection of 1998 Oldsmobile cars and trucks available at Discover Days. Consider the Bravada. Its exclusive SmartTrack system automatically adjusts to changing road conditions. Now receive our lowest financing of the year at 0.9% and enjoy over $3,000 in finance savings. Or for a limited time, receive $2,500 cash back on the Bravada. Discover Days with 0.9% financing on all 98 Oldsmobiles at your Oldsmobile dealer now.
Spray and Wash says, why hold them back when you can
let them go, let them play, let them grow a little more each day, let them run, have some fun, let them go.
Spray and Wash knows. You got kids, you got stains. And nothing penetrates stains faster than new Spray and Wash Advanced Stain Care. Nothing. So dress them up and
let them go with new Spray and Wash.
That's one tough bag.
The amazing Hefty One-Zip food bag. It clicks closed to lock in freshness.
Little guy's got spunk.
One-Zip, the Hefty Duty food bag.
Politics now in Worcester, Massachusetts today. President Clinton made his first foray into the public arena since admitting to an inappropriate relationship with Monica Lewinsky. There was a great deal of speculation about just how he would be received. ABC's Mike Von Fremd was there.
Democrats in Massachusetts included busloads of excited schoolchildren in their choreographed tribute to the president. Senator Kennedy portrayed him as a leader whose problems are now behind him.
I think people want to get on and want to move on. They want to have a president that is going to lead on the issues.
The official issue was school safety, but every speech included a healthy dose of praise for the president.
This man behind me is a man of vision and compassion for all Americans.
Clearly enjoying the warm welcome, the president never mentioned the Starr investigation, but did remind the faithful that he has bounced back before.
Right before the New Hampshire primary in 1992, a period when I was dropping like a rock in the polls, I have some experience with that.
Democratic Congressman Jim McGovern, who invited the president months ago, was given a standing ovation and a handshake. But his Republican opponent has promised to use pictures of Mr. Clinton's visit against McGovern in campaign commercials this fall. That kind of threat may make other Democrats in less friendly territory keep their distance from the president. Mike Von Fremd, ABC News, Martha's Vineyard.
Far south for the second time in 2 weeks, a rocket launched at Cape Canaveral has exploded on takeoff. A Delta III rocket carrying a $225 million communications satellite burst into flames 1 minute into its flight last night. The rocket's manufacturer, Boeing, and the Federal Aviation Administration are investigating the cause. When we come back, the high price of a natural disaster. Does the government reward people for living dangerously? It's your money.
Hey, you want a green light to eat like never before? I do. Healthy Choice has a whole menu of unbelievably delicious dishes, incredible meals.
New chicken stir fry with a crispy fried egg roll. Big hearty handful stuffed end to end with gooey cheese. My favorite, shrimp and vegetables with bow tie pasta and a creamy basil garlic sauce.
All around 5 grams of fat. 5. There's no stopping me now. Healthy Choice. Your green light to eat what you like.
Looking for cleaner, healthier water? Get the new Pure Plus pitcher. The only pitcher that reduces both chemicals and microorganisms. Get more out of your water. Get new Pure Plus.
Why does Tums control acid faster than Pepcid AC? Because they work on your stomach acid in totally different ways. Tums Calcium naturally, rapidly neutralizes acid so it works fast. Pepcid AC's famotidine has to travel through your bloodstream, so it takes at least 40 minutes to block natural acid production. So why does Tums work on acid faster and cost less, and Pepcid AC works slower and costs more?
Good question.
Tums. Mom, the dog. It's just laying on the bun.
That dog needs a new trick.
Beat the cold bun blues with Pillsbury Crescent Dogs. Just wrap them and bake them.
Aren't these dogs fun?
Good dog.
Tonight, be a better parent.
Oh, I give up.
John Stossel shows you how to be the boss.
The kids right now rule the house.
Teach right from wrong and make your kids smart from the start. ABC News Summer Thursday, tonight.
Finally tonight, the cost of a natural disaster. No one knows the eventual price tag for Hurricane, now Tropical Storm Bonnie, but it will certainly be high. And now that President Clinton has declared North Carolina a federal disaster area, a lot of the money for cleanup and repairs will come from taxpayers. Sounds fair, but sometimes the funds are not wisely spent. And after all, it is your money. Here's ABC's James Walker.
2 years ago, Hurricane Fran wiped out Topsail Island, one of many barrier islands off North Carolina. Shara and Ronald Sullivan lost their $200,000 vacation home, but Uncle Sam came to the rescue. Federal flood insurance, $100,000 in their case, paid off the mortgage. And thanks to a low-interest federal loan for $119,000, they were able to buy a new home on Topsail.
The Small Business Administration loan is the only reason we were able to purchase again.
In fact, when Washington declares a federal disaster, it can trigger financial aid from 50 different programs. But none is more controversial than federal flood insurance. Low-cost policies in high-risk areas which private insurers won't touch. The issue is, does the federal aid encourage people to rebuild in areas where they shouldn't live in the first place?
Topsail Island is a very expensive place for the federal taxpayer.
Very expensive because the hurricanes keep coming and people with flood insurance keep filing claims time and time again. On Topsail, $10.9 million for just 217 property owners. And the man who manages federal disaster assistance concedes some people are getting more than they deserve.
We've probably paid claims that probably was 170% over the value of the home.
But why pay that claim?
Oh, I agree with you.
In the last 10 years, Witt's agency has paid $21 billion in disaster assistance.
How much more can the federal government afford?
I agree. I'm very concerned about it.
It's very likely that more hurricanes like Bonnie will hit here this season, bringing more federal money, and with it, the residents will keep on building. James Walker, ABC News, Washington.
And Danielle's not too far away. That's our report on World News Tonight. Later at 9, 8 Central, an ABC News special, How to Be a Better Parent. And at 10, 9 Central, Nightline in Prime Time. The Crime and Punishment series continues. I'm Forrest Sawyer. For all of us here at ABC News, a very good night.
Tomorrow, is the hysteria surrounding Princess Diana's death finally over? Can we let her legacy live in peace? A closer look. Watch ABC's World News Tonight.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.
ABCnews.com, the first place for news online. Get your news first from ABCnews.com, on the web and America Online. Tonight, is maximum security the future of our prisons? Ted Koppel spends a night in solitary confinement. Crime and Punishment, Nightline in Prime Time. Tonight at 10, 9 Central.
This is News 2 at 6.
There was a third shot that went through my hard hat.
Bullets graze a tree trimmer's head. Now a Metro school student is charged with firing the shots. Good evening, everyone. Investigators say a tree trimming crew was just doing its job when someone opened fire.
Police arrested 4 students on their way to Stratford High School and took them into custody.
News 2's Phil Williams now is live at the Metro Juvenile Justice Center with more on this story. Phil.